Have you ever felt like you're, I don't know, just drowning in information, always chasing the next trend, or just trying to keep up?
Mm-hmm. Like you're on a treadmill you can't get off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And do you ever wish you had some kind of like secret weapon, maybe an internal compass to navigate this, constantly changing world and unlock your real potential?
Something reliable inside, yeah.
What if the key to really thriving isn't about cramming in more facts, but about making a fundamental shift? A shift in how you approach learning and, well, life itself.
A whole different mindset.
Right. Today, we're diving into a really powerful set of ideas. Think of it like a philosophy, one that could honestly transform your relationship with knowledge, challenge some core assumptions about your abilities, and maybe, just maybe, reignite that curiosity you had as a kid. Welcome to a new Mag Talk from English Plus podcast.
Great to be here.
Today, we're doing a deep dive into something pretty foundational. It's a philosophy for continuous growth, for understanding, really, in a world that just refuses to stand still.
Mm-hmm.
We've been digging into some really compelling insight, and it lays out these 10 guiding principles. They're aimed at anyone who wants to embrace learning, not just as a phase, but as a lifelong journey.
Yeah, conscious choice.
Exactly. So, our mission for this deep dive, let's unpack these principles. Let's figure out what they actually mean for your growth, personal and professional, and maybe spark a new way of thinking about your own potential. Because it feels limitless, right?
It really should. And what's so interesting right off the bat is that, like you said, this isn't just a list of tips or, quick fixes.
Oh.
The article actually presents it as a manifesto. That's a strong word.
It is. It implies commitment.
Right. It's not just about what to do. It's about how to be. It's like a public declaration, planting a flag for anyone who truly believes that their education, their growth, it's ongoing. It's a conscious, personal choice they make every day.
So it's less about tactics and more about identity?
I think so. And connecting it to that bigger picture, it's really about building that reliable internal compass, finding your own North Star. Especially now, right? In this world just saturated with information where trends change so fast like desert sands, as the article puts it.
Yeah, that's a good image.
It really encourages us to think about how having a personal credo, like a set of core beliefs about learning, can guide our choices when things get fuzzy or overwhelming.
Yeah.
It helps you build this internal framework so you're not just constantly reacting to whatever pops up next.
Okay, I like that framing. A manifesto, not a checklist. It sets a different tone. So let's jump into the first principle, the cornerstone idea. I am a work in progress, not a finished product.
Mm-hmm. This one's big.
It really is. It directly challenges that deep-seated feeling many of us have, right? That our intelligence, our talents, maybe even our personality are somehow fixed, set in stone.
Like you are who you are, and that's it.
Exactly. But the article says, no, your brain isn't a block of concrete. It's pushing for a total reevaluation of how we see ourselves and what we think we're capable of.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How often do we limit ourselves, maybe without even realizing it, just by thinking our current skills or abilities are permanent?
All the time, probably.
Yeah. And the article puts it beautifully, saying our brain is actually a dynamic, living network capable of growing and changing until the day I die. That completely rejects what, researchers sometimes call the fallacy of fixed talent and static intelligence.
So it's shifting from thinking your abilities are carved in stone.
Right, to realizing they're forged in effort. That's a powerful shift.
Yeah.
It means you actively choose not to define yourself by your current limitations. You start seeing them as, temporary, just waypoints on a much longer journey.
And that little word yet becomes so important then.
Oh, hugely important.
Saying, I can't do that yet. Just adding that word, it cracks open a door, doesn't it? It creates this space for future growth that just wasn't there a second before.
It really does. It shifts your focus instantly from this static state, this I can't, to future potential. It's like making a promise to yourself, okay, I'm not there now, but I'm willing to work at it.
But for someone listening, maybe they're struggling with something new, something difficult. How does internalizing I am a work in progress actually feel different day to day? What's the practical change?
That's a great question, because it's not just an intellectual thing. It's emotional. It changes how you react. When you really believe you're a work in progress, failure stops being this personal attack on your worth.
Right. It's not about you being bad.
Exactly. It becomes a diagnostic tool. It kind of strips the ego out of setbacks, that feeling of shame. It morphs into this clear-eyed curiosity. Think of a baker, right? A pro. Their amazing cake falls flat. Totally. But they don't suddenly think, oh, I'm a terrible baker. No way. They get curious. They look at the physics of the flop. Was the oven wrong? Humidity, ingredients, mixing.
They analyze it.
They analyze it. They turn that failure into a lesson that makes them even better next time. So your identity stops being about being smart or talented as a fixed thing. Instead, it gets tied to the act of becoming smarter, more capable through deliberate practice.
So you define yourself by the process, not the current state.
Precisely. You are a process, not a finality. So think about it. How could reframing your identity that way, as a process, change how you face challenges you've maybe shied away from before? It makes every moment an opportunity to evolve.
Okay, that reframing is definitely key. So if we accept we're works in progress, always growing, how do we actually direct that growth? Where do we point that energy? Which brings us nicely to principle 2. Curiosity is my compass.
Ah, yes. Love this one.
Me too. Because, in our very goal-oriented world, so much of our learning is dictated by outside forces, right? Your job needs this skill. You should learn that to keep up, the certification is trending.
The shoulds. They can be heavy.
They really can. We end up chasing things because we feel we have to or because it seems practical. But the article suggests a completely different path, more a vibrant one that follows an inner pull.
Yeah, and what really jumps out here is the focus on genuine, intrinsic curiosity. Not just what's useful right now or what someone else says is important. It's about truly honoring the magnetic pull of my own genuine curiosity.
Like listening to that little voice inside that asks why.
Exactly. The article actually encourages us to ask why and how and what if, like a child. Remember how kids do that? Non-stop questions.
Oh, yeah. Endlessly.
It's about consciously trying to get back some of that innate drive to explore, just to the sheer joy of understanding. It literally gives you permission, encourages you even to read the book that has nothing to do with my career.
Right.
Or learn the skill that has no immediate practical application.
That feels almost rebellious, doesn't it? In a world obsessed with ROI on time spent.
It really does. But the article makes a compelling case for the value of just wandering down those intellectual rabbit holes.
Right.
Following a question just because it fascinates you, even if you have no idea where it leads. The journey itself is the point.
So it's not a waste of time. It's actually feeding something important.
Precisely. Going down those rabbit holes of discovery, as it calls them, isn't a distraction. It actually fosters real passion. It sparks creativity in ways that just learning essential skills might not. It lights up those embers of passion, which are the wellspring of creativity.
That's a lovely phrase, wellspring of creativity.
Isn't it? And the contrast it draws is pretty stark. It says, a life without curiosity is a life lived in monochrome. Ouch.
Yeah. Bland.
But then it challenges you. Choose instead to see the world in vibrant, inquisitive color. So this isn't just about what facts you collect. It affects the whole texture of your life, the richness, the joy. I mean, think about how many big discoveries started with someone just being intensely curious about something weird, not because it was on a project plan.
True. Pure fascination.
Yeah. So for you listening, what burning questions have you maybe pushed down because they didn't seem useful?
Yeah.
What rabbit hole are you genuinely curious enough to explore this week, just for the fun of it?
Okay, from curiosity leading us into new territory, we inevitably stumble sometimes. Which brings us to principle 3. I will embrace glorious failure.
The F word.
Right. This one might make some people squirm a bit. I know it can for me. Culturally, failure is often seen as the absolute worst outcome, something to avoid no matter what.
The opposite of success.
Exactly. So glorious failure sounds like a total contradiction, doesn't it? But the article positions it as completely essential. Not just okay, but necessary for real learning and mastery. It's about changing our whole relationship with messing up.
Yeah, it really asks us to look at how our fear of mistakes often keeps us playing it safe, stuck in our comfort zones. And the article says, no, you need to fundamentally reframe my relationship with error. The core idea is just so powerful. Failure isn't a judgment on your worth. It's just data.
Data, not a verdict.
Exactly. And even calls it the tuition I pay for a world-class education. That reframes it completely, right? It's not a loss. It's an investment in your growth.
I like that, tuition for education.
Me too. And it encourages us to actively seek out the edges of my competence, because that's where the real learning happens. If you're never failing, you're probably not pushing yourself enough to learn anything truly new or difficult.
That makes sense. You have to stretch. And I really love that idea of seeking the edges. That's where the growth is, but it's also, where you're most likely to trip. And the way it talks about getting curious about the fall, That's brilliant. Not just get up, but, what happened there?
Absolutely. Instead of just feeling bad or blaming yourself, the article pushes you to get curious about the physics of the trip. What did I miscalculate? What can I learn from this? It turns it from an emotional gut punch into like a mini science experiment.
A learning opportunity.
A prime learning opportunity. It even goes so far as to say we should celebrate the big, spectacular failures, because those are often our most potent teachers. They really shine a spotlight on the weaknesses in our understanding and show us the path forward toward mastery. They're not just bumps, they're signposts.
Wow, celebrating spectacular failures. That's a stretch for most of us.
It is. But think about it. Can you recall a recent failure? Maybe something that felt disappointing at the time that you can now look back on and reframe? Get curious about its physics and see what lesson was actually hidden in there.
Okay, good challenge. Now, from having the courage to fail, we often find ourselves looking up to those who seem to have mastered things, which leads to principle fourth. The expert was once a beginner.
Yes. The perspective shifter.
Right. We look at experts, could be a musician, a coder, a scientist, an athlete, whatever, and we often feel totally intimidated. They seem light years ahead, almost like a different species sometimes.
Yeah, because they were just born that way.
Exactly. But the article gives us this simple, really humbling truth. And it's incredibly liberating, actually, and inspiring.
Yeah, because we often create this huge gap in our minds, right, between us and them. We assume their success comes from some kind of innate gift we just don't have. But the article calls for profound humility and, importantly, the grace to be clumsy when you're starting out. It helps demystify mastery, makes it feel like something, actually achievable for normal humans.
Because the core idea
is that every single expert, no exceptions, every master of a craft, every celebrated genius, they all started exactly where you might be starting right now, at zero, square one.
That's easy to forget when you see the final product.
So easy. And it stresses that their expertise isn't proof of some magical talent, it's proof of their perseverance. They push through that awkward, frustrating, often humbling beginner phase.
They stuck with it when it was hard.
They stuck with it. So the idea is, don't be intimidated by their mastery. Instead, be inspired by their journey. See their success as evidence of what dedication can achieve, not as a reason to feel inadequate.
That's a crucial shift. Inspiration over intimidation.
Absolutely, and it gives that great piece of advice. I will not compare my chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. That comparison track is brutal when you're starting out. It can just kill your motivation before you even get going.
Oh yeah, comparison is the thief of joy, as they say. Totally. So thinking about that, what new skill, what area of knowledge have you maybe been putting off because you're scared of being that clumsy beginner, scared of looking foolish? That this principle is like your permission slip, your nudge to just start.
Okay, so we start, we embrace being a beginner, we learn, we fail, we grow, and as we do, we start collecting knowledge, maybe in different areas. Which brings us to I will connect the dots.
Breaking down the silos.
Exactly. We live in this age of hyper-specialization, right? Everyone digs deeper and deeper into their own little niche, which is valuable, of course, but the article argues really strongly against keeping all that knowledge locked away in isolated silos.
Compartmentalized.
Yeah. It's a call to embrace interdisciplinary thinking, to actively look for the bridges, the connections between different fields of understanding, to see the bigger picture.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much innovation gets missed because we keep our knowledge so neatly separated.
Probably a lot. Yeah. The article encourages us to actively look for the patterns, the analogies, the underlying principles that connect disparate fields. So the core idea is synthesis, true interdisciplinary thinking. Not just collecting facts in separate boxes.
It uses that beautiful metaphor.
Oh, the wells. Yes. True wisdom is not found in the depths of a single well, but in the understanding of the underground rivers that connect all wells.
I love that image. It suggests this hidden web of connections, right? And if you can see those underground rivers, suddenly everything makes more sense, feels richer, more connected.
It really does. It's about expanding your mental toolkit by looking beyond the usual boundaries, like having a universal translator for ideas.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And the article specifically champions borrowing mental models, taking an idea from biology, say, and using it to understand business, or from physics to understand philosophy, music to understand math.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. Think about Charles Darwin. He was studying biology, right? Finches, adaptation, competition in nature. But that framework he developed, evolution through natural selection, became this incredibly powerful mental model for understanding competition and change in economic markets. He wasn't trying to be an economist.
Right, he was just connecting dots from his observations.
Exactly. He saw an underlying pattern. And the point is, this isn't just some abstract intellectual game. This is how innovation is born. It's how you build a really rich, integrated understanding of the world. When you can see principles from one area applying unexpectedly in another, that's where novel insights pop up. Insights that specialists might miss because they're too deep in their own well.
Okay, so the challenge then is, how might an idea from a totally different field, maybe a hobby, something you love outside work, shed some surprising light on a problem you're wrestling with right now?
Yeah, great question to ponder.
Okay, moving from the mental work of connecting ideas, we get to something maybe more physical, or at least biological. Principle 6, rest is part of the work.
Ah, the countercultural one.
Totally. In our, hustle culture where grind is a virtue and being always on is celebrated, this sounds almost wrong, doesn't it? Rest as part of learning.
Heresy.
Pretty much. But the article points directly to the biology of our brains. It challenges that ingrained idea that just putting in more hours always equals better results or deeper learning.
Yeah, and the crucial thing here is the science behind it. We often dismiss rest as unproductive, but the article states it clearly. Learning is not a function of brute force, but a delicate dance between focus and relaxation.
A dance, not a demolition derby.
Exactly. It's not about working harder all the time. It's about working smarter by respecting how our brains actually function. It even says explicitly, I will not sacrifice sleep in the name of hustle. Why? Because sleep is when my brain consolidates memories and solidifies new connections.
So sleep isn't downtime, it's processing time.
Critical processing time. This isn't about being lazy. It's a vital biological necessity for learning to stick. All the neuroscience on memory consolidation shows it happens mostly during deep sleep. That's when the brain makes sense of things, turns short-term inputs into long-term knowledge.
Okay, so it's not just about stopping work. It's about actively engaging in deliberate rest that actually fuels the learning process. It's a strong argument against burnout, making rest a non-negotiable part of being effective, like letting your brain digest.
Exactly like digestion.
And
the principle encourages embracing periods of deliberate rest, of long walks, of mindless play. Not seeing these as procrastination, but as a vital part of the cognitive process.
So walking the dog isn't slacking off, it's cognitive processing.
Could be, because those are the times your brain shifts from what neuroscientists call the focus mode laser beam attention into the diffuse mode.
Okay, what's diffuse mode?
Think of it like a floodlight instead of a spotlight. Your mind wanders. It makes loose connections in the background between seemingly unrelated ideas. It incubates solutions without you consciously trying. And it's often in those diffuse moments when you're not trying so hard that the aha insights just pop into your head.
The shower thoughts.
Exactly. Yeah. Shower thoughts, walking thoughts, staring out the window thoughts. It all comes down to recognizing, as the article says, I am a human, not a machine, and I will honor the rhythms of my own nature.
It's about sustainable, effective, and honestly, more joyful learning.
So here's a question for you listening. When was the last time you consciously let your mind just wander, maybe on a walk or doing something mundane, trusting it might lead somewhere interesting, instead of feeling guilty for not being productive?
Important to allow that space.
Definitely. Okay, building on that internal processing, we then hit principle 7th, I will learn by doing. Now this one feels almost like painfully obvious when you say it out loud.
Yet, how often do we get completely stuck in passive consumption mode? We watch the videos, read the articles, listen to the podcasts. We consume, but then we don't actually do the thing.
We collect information instead of building skill.
Exactly. And the article draws a really sharp line here between information and actual skill.
Yeah, it really forces us to confront that gap between knowing about something and being able to do it. The article is blunt. I will not mistake the consumption of information for the acquisition of skill.
Can't argue with that.
And it uses those great simple analogies that just hit home. Reading a book about swimming is not the same as swimming. Watching a tutorial on coding is not the same as writing code.
Nope, not at all.
So the core idea is learning through action, getting your hands dirty.
Yeah.
That's where knowledge stops being abstract and actually becomes part of you, part of your capabilities.
It's a crucial reminder, isn't it? That gap between knowing about and knowing how. Theory is essential, sure, but without actually trying it, testing it in the real world, that knowledge just stays inert, theoretical, not very useful.
Exactly. The article says, knowledge is inert and theoretical until it is applied. Therefore, your whole learning approach needs to be deliberately biased toward action.
Biased toward action. I like that.
It means you consciously choose to build the project, write the essay, create the prototype, have the conversation. You don't just read the manual, you close the manual and pick up the tools. You try it.
So the goal isn't to become a walking encyclopedia.
Right. The goal is not to become a library of facts, but a workshop of capabilities.
Yeah.
It's about turning what you know into things you can actually do. This is so vital today, especially in fields changing fast. Theory gets outdated, but the ability to do, to adapt, to apply, that's evergreen.
Okay, so practical challenge time again. What's something you've recently learned about, maybe even from this discussion, that you could actually try doing this week to take it from your head and put it into your hands?
Good one. Make it real.
Exactly. And once we've learned by doing, perhaps the next step, and it's a surprisingly powerful one, is Principle 8. I will be a teacher.
The learning paradox.
Right. It sounds weird. To learn better yourself, you should teach someone else. It feels generous, maybe altruistic, but actually it's an incredibly effective, you could even say slightly selfish learning strategy.
It really is fascinating how teaching transforms your own understanding. The article puts it simply. The highest form of understanding is the ability to explain a concept simply.
The Feynman technique, basically.
Exactly. So the core idea is using teaching as a powerful meta-learning tool. It actively encourages you to seek out opportunities to share what I learn. And this doesn't have to be formal teaching.
Right. Not necessarily standing in front of a class.
No. It could be explaining a new idea to a friend over coffee,
Yeah.
writing a quick blog post summarizing a book, making a short video guide, even just mentoring someone who's a few steps behind you on a particular path.
It's so true, though, isn't it? The minute you have to explain something clearly to someone else, all the fuzzy bits and gaps in your own knowledge suddenly become painfully obvious.
Oh, painfully is the right word sometimes. It forces you, absolutely forces you, to clarify my own thinking, to confront the gaps, and to organize information into a coherent narrative. You just can't fake it effectively when you're trying to teach. You have to really get it at a deeper level.
So paradoxically,
In becoming a teacher, I become a better student. It creates this amazing feedback loop. It strengthens your own understanding, your memory of it, even your ability to apply it later in new situations. It's like the ultimate test of whether you really know it.
okay, so thinking about something you've learned recently, maybe even one of these principles,
Yeah.
who could you try explaining it to this week? Just to solidify it for yourself and maybe help them out too.
Double win.
Okay, building on learning actively and through teaching, we zoom out a bit with My Library is Everywhere.
Expanding the classroom walls.
Totally. This is such a liberating idea. It just blows apart the formal, sometimes stuffy boundaries of learning time and says, no, the world itself, all of it, the messy, unpredictable, everyday world, is our biggest, most constantly available classroom.
Yeah, it makes you think about how many learning moments we probably just walk past every day because we're not in learning mode or in a specific place like a school or library. The article suggests we need to consciously dismantle those artificial walls between learning time and living time. It paints this amazing picture where my library is the world. And that library includes everything: the conversation with the barista, the architecture, the podcast, feedback from a colleague, the questions of a child. Everything is potentially source material.
Wow. So it's not about scheduling learning blocks in your calendar, but weaving learning into the actual fabric of your entire day, every day.
Exactly. It's about being present, being open, being receptive to the constant stream of insights and information that's always around us if we just tune in. Like being a sponge, maybe, but an active questioning sponge.
An active sponge. I like that. Not just passively absorbing.
Right. The principle urges you to carry questions with me throughout my day and look for answers in unexpected places. So you're not just waiting for information to hit you, you're actively looking with a curious mind. The real takeaway here is powerful. Learning is not an event I schedule. It is a lens through which I view my entire life.
A lens. That changes everything.
It does. It turns every interaction, every observation, even boring moments into potential learning opportunities, constantly enriching your understanding. I mean, think how many business ideas came from a random chat or scientific insights from noticing something mundane on a walk.
True. Serendipity often requires an open lens.
Exactly. So, thinking about your day-to-day, what unexpected learning opportunity might be hiding in plain sight? On your commute, maybe? At lunch? In a casual chat? You might be surprised what you find if you start looking through that lens.
Okay, and that brings us to the final principle, number 10. The goal is the journey. This feels like the capstone, right? The ultimate mindset shift that pulls all the others together.
Yeah, it ties it all up beautifully.
It's about finding real joy, real fulfillment, not just in reaching some destination, but in the actual day-to-day process of growing, of learning, of trying. It reframes our whole relationship with goals and achievement.
And what's so striking here is that radical shift it proposes. Moving away from being dependent on the outcome and learning to love the process. The article says it point blank. Fall in love with the process, not just the outcome.
But goals are still useful.
Oh yeah, goals are useful for direction, and it acknowledges that. But, and this is the crucial bit, my self-worth will not be contingent on achieving them. That takes so much pressure off.
Huge pressure relief.
Yeah, it's an antidote to that constant need to perform, succeed, hit the target, which so often leads to burnout or feeling like a failure if you fall short. Loving the process allows for sustained effort, genuine passion, and resilience without everything riding on that final result.
That feels incredibly freeing. It means you can throw yourself into something, work hard, be dedicated, but know that the real reward isn't just the prize at the end. It's who you become along the way.
Precisely. It's about celebrating the effort, the small steps. The article encourages you to find joy in the daily practice, in the small increments of improvement, in the satisfying struggle of grappling with a difficult problem.
Satisfying struggle, that's interesting. Finding joy even when it's hard.
And consciously choosing to celebrate the effort as much as the achievement. The ultimate insight here is that I learned not to arrive at a destination called mastery, but to enjoy the rich, challenging, and infinitely rewarding journey of growth. And then that killer line, this path has no end, and that is its greatest beauty.
Wow. No end, and that's the beauty.
Yeah. Learning isn't a race you finish. It's this endless, amazing exploration that makes life richer. And practically, it helps you deal with uncertainty, right? You can control your effort, your engagement, but you can't always control the outcome. Focusing on the journey makes it sustainable.
Okay, so final reflection prompt here. How can you, maybe starting today, shift your focus just a little bit away from a desired outcome and more towards finding real satisfaction in the process of getting there, even the messy, challenging parts?
It's a worthwhile shift to try. Now, one really crucial point the article makes right at the end is about the nature of this manifesto itself. It stresses that this is not a set of rigid, unbreakable laws.
Right, it's not dogma.
Exactly. It explicitly says dogma is the enemy of learning. Which makes sense, right? Real learning needs openness, flexibility, questioning, not rigid rules. Instead, think of it as a personal constitution, a living document to guide your decisions.
Like a personal mission statement for growth.
Yeah, something like that. A reminder of the learner you aspire to be. A North Star you can check in with and maybe even revise over time. And connecting this back to us as people, it acknowledges we're not perfect, we're human. Living these principles is a practice, it says. Some days you will embody them fully, other days you will fall short. That's okay.
That's really important. It gives you permission to be imperfect.
Huge permission. It takes away that pressure to nail it every single day. The real point is not perfection, but direction. Are you generally pointing yourself towards growth? Are you waking up and recommitting, even in small ways? It's about that consistent orientation.
Just keep facing the right way on the compass.
Exactly. And that powerful closing thought from the article. Our best selves are not behind us, but are perpetually waiting to be discovered. That's optimistic, isn't it? It frames growth as this ongoing, exciting process of discovery, not just fixing flaws or hitting a static target.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, what does this actually mean for you listening right now, navigating your own learning path? This deep dive into the Lifelong Learner's Manifesto, it's really more than just interesting ideas, isn't it? It feels like a blueprint.
A framework.
Yeah, a blueprint for a life built on continuous growth, on real curiosity, and having the guts to see every stumble not as a failure, but just as a step forward. It's a powerful reminder that learning isn't some chore you have to do.
No, it's the adventure.
It's the adventure, an exhilarating journey that shapes who you are and, crucially, who you're always in the process of becoming. It's really a call to grab the steering wheel of your own learning story and see yourself as constantly evolving.
Which leads to maybe one final thought or question to leave people with. If you were to pick just one of these 10 principles, just one, and really intentionally try to live by it this week, what kind of shift, maybe even a surprising one, could that create in how you approach your work, your challenges, maybe just your daily life?
That's a great takeaway challenge. Which single principle resonates most right now?
Yeah. Which one will you choose to practice intentionally this week? And how might that small, deliberate shift start to ripple outwards, maybe even redefining your whole learning journey and what you believe you're capable of?
And this was another Mag Talk from English Plus Podcast. Don't forget to check out the full article on our website, englishpluspodcast.com, for more details, including the focus on language section and the activity section. Thank you for listening. Stay curious and never stop learning. We'll see you in the next episode.